Have you ever caught yourself thinking, damn, playing games is kind of boring right now? I personally think that everybody who plays games will eventually run into this brick wall when you look at your Steam library and nothing picks up your interest. I had those times as well, and I used to think, damn, am I losing interest in playing games? Well, no, not really, because every time I was able to find that one game that just flicks a switch in my mind. You know the one. It's that game you start playing and you just can't stop. You go to sleep thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it, waiting till you get a chance to play it, and it just sends you right back into your gaming phase. The reality is, you should always try and expand your tastes. Try something new, and finding something special is inevitable. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today I present you a list of games that revived my love for gaming at points in my life when I was getting bored with it. All of them have a special place in my heart now, and I think they even changed how I perceive video games for one reason or another. So maybe if you haven't played any of those games and you need something new right now, consider playing them or replaying if you have beaten them already, or maybe just watch this video for no reason at all. First game I have to talk about is Dark Souls 1. The impact of this game on my taste in games is massive, which is funny because it's not even in my top 3 favorite From Software games now. I like Dark Souls 3 more, I like Sekiro more, and Elden Ring is basically my favorite game ever. From Software improved upon their formula in many ways since their early days of game development, but till this day there is certain magic in Dark Souls 1 that I can't stop thinking about, and that game single-handedly sent me to my From Software phase and made me become a fan. Before getting into Dark Souls, all I knew about the series is that it's hard and frustrating, which kind of sums up what image this franchise had back in the day. But I was very surprised to find out that Dark Souls 1, while being a bit of a clunky mess, is not that frustrating. It's not one of those rage games to bait reactions. This game respects the player, and after you put in a bit of time playing it, you start appreciating how rewarding it feels. And I think in many ways Dark Souls changed how I view difficulty in games in general. One of the biggest pros of Dark Souls 1, and something that they, in my opinion, haven't been able to replicate till this day, is the exploration aspect and how intertwined the map is. Dark Souls is not an open world game in traditional sense. Locations are very compact, but that makes exploring them very fun. There is always an enemy to fight, an item to find, or of course a shortcut to open. There has been so many moments throughout my first playthrough when I opened some door and went, holy shit, this links that area with the starting area? What the hell? The interconnectivity made it so fun to explore new areas and find out where they're going to lead, and the absence of fast travel in the game's first half was absolutely necessary, because it made you memorize the entire map. If you put me in Dark Souls 3 right now, I don't fucking remember where to go, probably forward just because of how linear this game is, but put my life on the line and throw me into Lord Run and you know it's not my home, but I know my way around. Another thing that felt so refreshing to me is how unintuitive Dark Souls 1 is. Once again, devs respect you as a player, and no one is going to take your hand and guide you around. It's up to you to figure out how everything works. You don't have a mini-map, your heals are limited, NPCs don't give you quests that you can conveniently check in your quest log. They just say something like, life is dark, but I shall find the light in death, or something, and then you give them a duck feet or some bullshit, and a couple hours later you find them dead in the most desolate location ever. It's just genius, dude. NPCs also can just be killed and never come back again, like you have this absolute chad blacksmith who upgrades your gear.
I'm Andre, the restorer.
And if you want your stick to deal 2 more damage, prepare to run across the entire map to meet him. And if you think you can just take him out and grab his loot, say bye-bye to any upgrades for the rest of the playthrough, or until you find another blacksmith. The world of Dark Souls is cruel, and they made it feel exactly like that. The game will punish you for making mistakes, and that helps you to understand this world they created so much better. Also, From Software is one of the few studios that will just hide the best content from the player in the most inconvenient place ever for whatever reason. One of the most atmospheric and beautiful locations I've seen in video games is hidden behind an invisible wall on a random tree. I didn't even find it on my first playthrough because I wasn't using Wiki, but when you do find something so special hidden far away, the feeling is unmatched. You know, the game came out in 2011, but the art direction is still beautiful till this day. I will never forget discovering Anor Londo for the first time, walking out of this horrific fortress filled with traps and annoying enemies to see a beautiful golden city. Very few moments in gaming hit as hard as this one does. But obviously Dark Souls 1 is not a perfect game. It has in fact many flaws. The part of the game that people call the second half it's just horribly rushed. Absurd enemy placements, some of the most horrible boss designs in From Software history, awful locations that are genuinely frustrating to explore unlike previous ones. The only aspect saving this part is the iconic final boss fight, but that's about it. Unlocking fast travel in this part also completely ruins the excitement of exploring the world, and yeah, it's just not good. Also, after playing later From Software titles, it's painfully obvious how slow the combat of Dark Souls 1 is. The boss's movesets are also not too complicated, and coming back to replay Dark Souls 1 nowadays is honestly painfully easy. But hey, they got a banger DLC with some of my favorite bosses in the series, so you're partially redeemed, Miyazaki. You can take my soul. You know, Metal Gear Solid 1 has kind of the same effect on me as Dark Souls 1, in the sense that it got me into a franchise because of how much I enjoyed it. And just like with Dark Souls, I ended up liking later games more. Metal Gear Solid 2 is my personal favorite, and 3 easily competes with it. I can see why it's most people's pick. 5, while having some of the most innovative gameplay in the series, left me a bit unsatisfied when it comes to the story and characters. And 4, I still haven't played because till this day it's strapped on PS3 and mine is fucking gone. Please Konami, make a PC port for it. I don't really remember why I decided to pick up Metal Gear Solid 1 out of the blue, but I think I wanted to play something old that is regarded as a classic. I didn't have any expectations towards this game specifically. I knew that it is legendary, but man, nothing could prepare me to how advanced this game from 1998 is going to be. I was genuinely in shock from how ahead of its time it was. The melee combat, switching to first-person view, going prone, the way shooting is done, boss fights with interesting gimmicks, resource management, and of course stealth mechanics. Mind you, Splinter Cell came out 4 years later, but I never played it, so I don't know why I'm throwing shade. All of that is great on its own, but the reason this game gained such legendary status has to be those fucking cutscenes. From my memory, about 40% of the game is just cutscenes. It's like you're playing and watching a movie at the same time. And if you know Kojima, it's pretty clear that all of his games are heavily influenced by cinema, and he was chasing his vision back in the 90s when video games were very technically limited. The entire story has a layer of bizarreness, and that's what made those games so iconic. No matter how much time passes, I will never forget about you, Psycho Mantis.
I mean, wow, man. You play a lot of porn games in your free time.
Okay.
Snake is such a lovable character as well. He's just this very serious guy being absolutely unserious at times and flirting with every woman he sees.
Nice to meet you, Snake. It's an honor to speak to a living legend like yourself. What's wrong?
Nothing. I just didn't expect a world-class designer of military technology to be so cute.
You're just flattering me.
But then he will stop for a second and drop the hardest monologue of all time. Liquid Snake is such an over-the-top villain who serves his role perfectly in this story. And oh man, the voice acting is so good in this game too. Everyone did such a great job.
They used me as a guinea pig to create a phenotype in which all of the dominant genes were expressed. To create you. I got all of the recessive genes.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that are interesting about him.
Otacon is another absurd character who first comes across as some whiny loser guy. My dude literally pissed himself in his introduction scene, but then he goes on to become one of the best characters and a great friend to Snake, and in later games he's even cooler. The core themes Metal Gear Solid explores are also very interesting to follow. So much of the narrative revolves around genes and how they don't control your destiny. A very interesting message done tastefully. If you for some reason haven't played Metal Gear Solid 1, please do yourself a favor and give it a go. First 3 games are available on Steam as a collection, and I promise you will have a great time. Don't wait for remasters of first 2 games, it will take them like 15 years to make those. Let's switch it up a bit. 3D action games are cool and everything, but what about a deck builder? I liked roguelike games before Spire, but it just happened to be my favorite one, and after playing it I started chasing that high and tried out games like Risk of Rain 2, which I also absolutely loved. Spire is not the most complicated card game ever, it's not Magic or something, but it still has quite a bit of complexity. 4 characters who all have their own sets of cards, and you can make a variety of builds and combinations with them that are all unique. You got Ironclad, who is the most straightforward character. He's your typical knight who can stack a lot of armor or stack a lot of strength effects to hit really hard. Silent, who applies poison or generates an enormous amount of her knives that cost 0 energy. Defect, my personal favorite, he generates spheres that all do a different action as your turn ends, like applying defense or striking random enemies with lightning. He also has a very different type of build that revolves around cycling those cards for 0 energy that scale every time you play them in a battle. Then you got Watcher. I don't like her, and characters with cards are just the tip of the iceberg, or tip of the Spire. Maps have random routes that you have to choose between. You can stumble upon different random events that might completely change your run. You can find shops where you can buy cards or items that also help to shape your build. The only complaint I probably have with the game is the lack of enemy and bosses variety. I simply wish we could have more, but I'm sure that we will have a lot more variety in the sequel that comes out this year, and when it does, it will probably consume my life for a couple months and make me much happier. Almost as happy as you subscribing to my channel. There are very few games that had the same effect on me as Disco Elysium, and I don't know if that feeling could be replicated. With previous games I listed, I could easily say I want more like that and then just get more. Dark Souls was so influential, it created its own subgenre of games. Metal Gear Solid inspired so many action games it's probably impossible to count. Slay the Spire, while being great at what it does, was not the first to do what it did, and certainly won't be the last. But Disco Elysium is its own beast entirely. It not only changed my perspective on writing in games, it kind of just changed me. For a game like that to come out, stars have to align. I have a lot to say about Disco Elysium, but I will keep this part spoiler-free, because I do think this game deserves its own video, and hopefully I will make it one day. It's hard to even describe what Disco Elysium is. It's a game about people, it's a game about politics, it's a game about mystery, it's dark at times, it's so fucking funny when it needs to be. It's a game that will make you think constantly. I know I just described this game like it's a holy grail, but if you ask me what I think about its plot, I would say that it is surprisingly simple. It's a detective story with a murder mystery and the conflict revolving around it. But the way it's told is the most unique thing I've ever seen. I'm used to writing in games to be, let's just say, underwhelming. Rarely I have any expectations about dialogue in video games. However, with Disco Elysium I just couldn't stop reading. I wanted to talk to every side character, do every side quest, just do everything possible to find out more about this world and people living in it. The area where Disco Elysium takes place is quite small compared to many games, but it feels so alive. Every character you interact with, every line of dialogue has its purpose, and I've never seen a game treated that way. Disco Elysium has one of the deepest main characters I've ever witnessed, not just in video games but in fiction in general. It has one of my favorite side characters ever, definition of the best buddy, and seeing his and the main character's relationship grow is so special. Disco Elysium also has one of my favorite individual moments in gaming that had my heart jumping out of my fucking chest. And to be honest, it has many moments that could compete with the one I'm talking about, but unfortunately it doesn't matter how much I praise Disco Elysium, because the company behind it, ZAUM, forced out basically the entire team that worked on the game. They all went to do their separate things and the potential sequel was scrapped. There is an upcoming game from ZAUM, but to be honest I have no hopes for it. I don't believe that they could reach the level of Disco Elysium. This game is truly a lightning in a bottle, and it made me appreciate the media of video games even more. I played Resident Evil 4 Remake at the stage of my life when I thought I am bored of standard third-person action games, and RE4 just quickly reminded me that shooting monsters is still just as fun. The original game came out back in 2005, and I have played the original a long time ago, but even though people absolutely love Resident Evil 4 and for many it's their favorite part in the series, I wasn't crazy about the game back when I first played it, and I dropped it about halfway through. I usually have no issue playing older games, no matter how technically aged they might be, but maybe because the game originally came out on GameCube, the shooting felt really odd and left me unsatisfied. However, after playing the new one, I have to say, this is how you make a fucking remake. Developers had no business going this hard. I knew that they are most likely going to do a good job with it because of how much I enjoyed Resident Evil 2 Remake, but Jesus Christ, it felt like they improved upon everything while managing to keep the spirit of the original game. And yeah, I know that they changed some parts a bit too too much and fans weren't happy about it, but I don't remember shit, so I don't care. Obviously, graphics in the remake are improved significantly, but that's far from being the only thing they changed. Camera controls are more similar to modern third-person shooters, which is a good thing. Aiming and shooting now actually feels nice, and oh my god, they went hard with animations for Leon and every enemy in the game. But aside from improving what was already in the original, they also added a bunch of stuff. Specifically, the combat was improved tremendously. All the stuff like parrying attacks with your knife, shooting grenades in enemies' hands to blow them up, or shooting their arms to make them drop their weapon, new guns, new side quests, completely new scenes even. Honestly, people don't talk enough about how well-paced Resident Evil 4 is. It throws content at you non-stop. New gun, new enemy type, new location, a set piece, a boss fight. It feels like every 15 minutes something new and fun happens in this game, which made it so enjoyable and refreshing. The last game on my list and the most recent one I played, Game of the Year 2025, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I know, people couldn't shut up about this game last year, but there is a fair reason as to why. Game's fucking awesome. And by the way, I'm not going to spoil anything big about the story in case you haven't played the game yet, but you will see some minor gameplay spoilers here and there, you've been warned. When Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year in 2023, I saw the same reaction from the gaming crowd at large. A game that doesn't feature a more standard gameplay loop that people are used to wins, and then it gets labeled a turn-based slop or whatever. And if you like the game, you apparently support AI, which is just a classic phenomenon on social media when people see one news headline and decide to go with it, spamming buzzwords in every comment section without actually trying to get a tiny bit more information about the situation. If you're not aware, first of all, congratulations, your soul is innocent and you're not terminally online. But long story short, developers of Expedition 33 did use AI during the development stage. Wow, Dima, that's horrible. We shouldn't endorse games that use AI in their development, right? Well, here's the thing. They use AI to create a placeholder. If you don't know, placeholder is a thing that developers put in their games temporarily during the development stage to later replace it with an actual model. And that's exactly what happened. They replaced this AI thing with an actual artwork later. Now, they did release the game with an AI texture and then quickly replaced it in a patch, which I imagine was just a simple mistake and someone just forgot to replace this one texture that like only 40% of players will see for a couple of seconds on their playthrough. To sum up, not a big deal, not a scandal or anything like that. People just be finding any reason to hate on a successful game that hits mainstream despite it doing something different. I think we all should accept at this point that AI will be used in game development as a tool. So from now on, it's not a question of whether devs will use AI or not, it's a question of how AI will be used in development. And if you ask me, the way Expedition 33 used it is totally fine. And it's crazy to me that we genuinely had this argument in the first place, because Expedition 33 has one of the most stunning art directions I've ever seen in gaming. Every location you step in feels like a painting. Get it? Painting? There is so much love put into this world and it looks incredible, despite the game not being technically well made. There is an interesting video by Thread Interactive if you're curious. I am very easy to satisfy when it comes to graphics, so to me it looks fantastic, but yeah, performance could be better. So, as you probably know, Expedition is a turn-based JRPG, and yes, the game wasn't made in Japan, but you can still call it JRPG because it is clearly inspired by Japanese style of role-playing games. But it does a great job at innovating within this genre, and I might even say revolutionizing the genre, so I guess French did it again. Combat in JRPGs I played is fine. I like turn-based combat, but I had way more fun fighting enemies in a game like Divinity Original Sin 2, for example. Clair Obscur, however, mixes elements of turn-based combat like action points and choosing which skills or items to use on your turn, but then adds things like aiming to hit targets' weak points and dodging, which has a more forgiving timing to evade attacks, or parrying, which requires more precision but then also rewards with more action points and a flashy counterattack. This makes the combat feel way more engaging compared to just pressing the defense button and waiting for your turn. Aside from battles themselves, you also have a very deep system of itemization for your party members. Things like pictos that give all sorts of small abilities, like extra action points on parrying or applying debuffs on your enemies with your standard attacks. They can be equipped in two different ways. One allows you to use the stat buffs and the ability, but if you use a picto in a couple of fights, your character learns its ability. And now you can use Lumina points, which is a resource in the game, to equip that ability your character learned without the stat buff. So you will think a lot about managing which Pictus you want just for their ability and which you want for their stat bonuses. Aside from that, you also have weapons with different elemental damage, and leveling them up also gives them different attributes, and combining all of those things together can completely change the way your character is played. When it comes to exploration, it is also done really well. Every location has secrets to find, shortcuts to open, hidden bosses to fight, and honestly, I've been shocked at how much side content there is to do in this game. It's genuinely impressive how much they managed to give us to explore, even though some of this side content doesn't make any sense, like Gestral beaches, for example, that have those parkour courses that look like they're from one of those Rage games.
How does this place make any sense?
But hey, at least you get a cute swimsuit as a reward. Aside from gameplay, I have to give this game another compliment. The story and character writing of Expedition 33 is simply incredible. Listen, I love Persona and I think writing in those games is great, but it's refreshing to play a JRPG game where characters in your party are actually adults who act like adults. I'm not going to spoil the initial hook of the game in case you haven't played it yet, so all I'm going to say is this game grabs you by the balls since the prologue, and then doesn't let go at any point. Cutscenes get progressively more emotional and hype, and I can't express how emotionally connected I felt to those characters, who are all very likable. To make you even more invested, they let you talk with every party member whenever your group has a break, and those little interactions add a lot of depth to each character and help you understand them more.
Persona! It's like my favorite game, Persona.
It's been a while since I've played a game that had the same effect on me as Expedition 33. It's a game made with passion and it shines through. I'm glad that it won Game of the Year, and it certainly made me want to go through my backlog of games. So maybe I'll finally play fucking Silk Song. All of the games I listed had a specific effect on me that kind of reignited my passion. They reminded me why I'm into this hobby and gave me something new to appreciate about this media. And I hope you enjoyed me talking about those games. But what's most important, what is a game like that for you?